Welcome to the deep dive. In this incredibly data-driven world we live in, security isn't just some item on a checklist, is it?
No, not at all. It's really the bedrock of digital trust.
Exactly. And today we're taking a close look at MongoDB. It's, a major NoSQL database, famous for being super flexible, super scalable.
Hugely popular for those reasons.
But here's the paradox, and our sources really hammer this home. All that power and flexibility, it makes MongoDB a really attractive target. So securing it isn't just like a good idea, it's absolutely essential. We're talking about shielding sensitive info from, well, anyone who shouldn't see it, preventing misuse, stopping leaks.
Right.
And this deep dive is specifically designed, using the materials you shared with us, to get you up to speed quickly on how to lock down MongoDB effectively.
And the stakes here are just massive. Think about what MongoDB often holds.
Yeah.
We're talking vast amounts of really critical data. User details, financial transactions, vital logs, analytics. The
So
word
it's
is
everything important.
pretty much. And if just one vulnerability gets missed, uh-oh, the consequences can spiral fast.
Like what kind of scenarios?
Well, the nightmare ones, really. Privacy breaches hitting the news, ransomware locking everything down,
Oh.
crippling fines under rules like GDPR in Europe. That's for personal data. Or HIPAA in the US for health info.
Big financial hits there.
Huge fines, yeah, and legal battles.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's the massive loss of trust and reputation. That can be incredibly damaging, sometimes even harder to recover from than the financial cost.
It's easy to focus on the tech side, but you're so right about that human cost, the trust, the reputation. That's what makes a breach so devastating long term. What's a common way people sort of underestimate those non-technical costs?
That's a really good point. Often there's this assumption that if data isn't like publicly splashed everywhere, the damage is contained.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, but they forget the internal chaos. Employee morale tanks, huge amounts of time and money get sucked into just managing the crisis.
Firefighting mode.
Totally. And then there's the long-term hit to attracting customers, keeping the ones you have. It really shows this isn't just tech details. It's about safeguarding the absolute core of how businesses operate online. Whether your MongoDB is running in your own data center or out there in the cloud.
That paints a very clear picture. So, okay, to really batten down the hatches on MongoDB, our sources break it down into 3 key layers, almost like building a digital fortress piece by piece.
Exactly. 3 core pillars. We'll look at how you control who gets in first, then how you protect the data while it's stored, and finally, how you manage what people can actually do once they're inside.
Okay.
Those pillars are authentication, encryption, and access control. They're the foundation for building a solid defense.
Got it. So let's start with that first game. Authentication. This is all about proving you are who you claim to be when you connect, right? What does MongoDB offer here?
Right. Authentication is step 1. Verify identity before anyone touches the database. MongoDB gives you several strong options. The default, and it's very secure, is SCRAM. That stands for Salted Challenge Response Authentication Mechanism.
Catchy name.
Huh? Yeah. But what's smart about SCRAM is it never sends the actual password over the network.
Oh, interesting. How?
It uses this cryptographic challenge response.
Yeah.
It proves your identity without exposing the credential itself,
Mm-hmm.
even if maybe the connection isn't perfectly encrypted somehow. It's clever.
That sounds robust. What else?
Then you've got MIT.509 certificates. These are great for securing internal machine-to-machine connections, like between your application servers and the database.
Makes sense.
And for bigger organizations, MongoDB plays nice with existing central systems like LDApp or Kerberos.
So single sign-on kind of stuff.
Exactly. Employees can use their regular company logins, which makes managing users way easier
Sure.
and keeps things consistent with broader IT security policies.
You mentioned enabling authentication. I think you implied by default. Does it ever not come enabled? And if it's off, what's the big danger people miss?
That is a critical point. Historically, yes, some older default setups, or maybe just a quick local dev environment, might have had authentication off by default. The biggest risk people overlook is thinking, oh, my database is safe, it's behind our firewall, it's not on the public internet.
Yeah, the internal is safe fallacy.
Precisely. If authentication isn't explicitly turned on, usually with the auth flag, when starting MongoDB and you haven't disabled anonymous access, then anyone who can somehow reach that database, even from inside your network, can basically do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Full access.
Wow. Okay.
It's step 0. Absolutely fundamental, especially in production. Never skip it.
That's a stark reminder indeed. Okay, so once we've verified who someone is, we need to protect the actual data, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's just sitting there on a server or flying across the network. That brings us to pillar number 2, encryption. How's MongoDB handle that?
Right. Encryption tackles data protection at 2 key stages: when it's moving, that's in transit, and when it's stored at rest.
Okay, 2 fronts.
Yep. For data in transit, between the client and the server, MongoDB uses TLS SSL.
Ah, the standard web encryption.
Exactly the same tech that secures your online banking. It creates a secure private tunnel, makes the data unreadable to eavesdroppers.
Good. And for data just sitting on the disk.
For data at rest, the MongoDB Enterprise version offers an encrypted storage engine. This lets you encrypt the actual data files on the disk using strong AES 256 encryption.
Okay, so enterprise feature for at rest. Now, that encryption relies on keys, obviously. I can imagine managing those keys, especially rotating them, gets complicated. Are there common pitfalls people hit with key rotation?
Well, key rotation can definitely be tricky. Think of it like regularly changing the locks on your house, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't know a key was copied, you change them periodically just in case.
Thread analogy.
If an old key ever does get compromised, rotating it limits how long it's useful to an attacker, a common pitfall. It's forgetting that rotation isn't just swapping the key.
What else is involved?
You have to make sure all the systems, all the backups, everything gets updated with the new key, and crucially, you have to do it without causing downtime.
Ah, the operational headache.
Exactly. That's usually why a dedicated key management system, a KMS, is so vital. It helps automate that whole process, keeps things secure over time, and avoids those operational nightmares.
Makes sense. So, okay, we've got authentication, know who's knocking. We've got encryption, wrapping the data up securely. But what about controlling what they can actually do once they're legitimately inside?
That's where access control comes in, right?
Precisely. This is where MongoDB's rule-based access control, or RBAC, model shines. It lets you get really specific about what actions different users are allowed to perform.
Roles, like job titles.
Kind of. MongoDB defines standard roles like read-only. Pretty self-explanatory. They can just look. Read-write lets them look and modify. Then there are admin roles like dbadmin for managing indexes, collections, even other users.
So different levels of power. Exactly. And you can go even further and define your own custom roles for super fine-grained control. The goal is to ensure every user, every application, only have the exact permissions it needs to do its job, and absolutely nothing more.
Ah, the principle of least privilege. Give them just enough, but no extra keys to the kingdom. Can you give an example of where failing to do that could cause a really nasty problem?
Oh, absolutely. Let's imagine, say, a marketing analytics tool.
Yeah.
All it really needs is to read customer demographics, right?
Yep, read-only, basically.
Right. But imagine someone sets it up with dbadmin privileges, maybe just for convenience during setup or something.
Uh-oh, I see where this is going.
Now, if the credentials for that tool get compromised, maybe the tool itself has a flaw, or an employee using it gets phished, the attacker doesn't just get read access. They get full admin control over the entire database.
Ouch.
They could delete everything, steal all the sensitive data, create new admin users for themselves. It's a perfect example of how giving too much privilege can turn a small compromise into a total disaster.
That really drives it home. Be precise with those permissions. Okay, so those are the 3 big pillars: authentication, encryption, access control. Beyond those, our sources mention some other really practical security tips, kind of reinforcing that fortress. What else should listeners be thinking about?
Yeah, these are like strengthening the walls and watching the perimeter. First up, IP whitelisting.
Locking down network access.
Exactly. You configure MongoDB to only accept connections from specific, known, trusted IP addresses. If your IP isn't on the list, you can't even connect. Simple, but effective.
Nice. What else?
Second, always disable features you aren't using. Things like the built-in HTTP status interface or the REST API. If you don't need them, turn them off.
Why is that so important? Just reducing the attack surface.
That's part of it, but also sometimes these features are enabled by default and might ship with, let's say, less than ideal default security settings. They become easy targets, low-hanging fruit for attackers if you don't actively disable them.
Good point. Keep it minimal.
Third, active monitoring of logs is crucial. You need to know what's happening. Tools like MongoDB Atlas have built-in auditing, or you can use things like Prometheus for metrics, or the ELK stack Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana to collect, process, and visualize logs.
What are you looking for in the logs?
Unusual login attempts, access to data that shouldn't be happening, weird performance spikes, anything that might signal an attack underway. real-time visibility.
Right. Spotting trouble early. And the last one.
And finally, it sounds basic, but always keep things updated. Run the latest stable version of MongoDB, apply security patches promptly. New vulnerabilities are found all the time, so staying current is just fundamental hygiene.
Makes total sense. Pillars and reinforcements.
So really, one critical thing to take away from all this is how these three pillars, authentication, encryption, access control, they aren't separate things. They have to work together.
Like the layers.
Exactly. Interconnected layers forming a robust defense for your MongoDB setup. It's not about picking one or two. You need to implement all of them effectively, building that digital fortress we talked about.
It really highlights that, MongoDB gives you incredible power to manage data, but that power comes with a serious responsibility to lock it down tight. By really focusing on proper authentication, strong encryption, and that granular access control, plus adding those other tips, IP whitelisting, disabling unused stuff, monitoring, updating, that's how you ensure your data stays safe, private, and compliant. That's the real value here for you, the listener.
And thinking about that, it raises a bigger question, maybe. Given how fast cyber threats evolve, how sophisticated attacks are getting, what does it actually mean for a MongoDB deployment to be truly future-proofed when it comes to security, beyond just doing today's best practices?
That's a really interesting thought. What is the next step beyond best practice? That's a critical question, isn't it? For developers, for DBAs, for security researchers, something everyone needs to keep thinking about and working on as tech moves forward. Definitely some food for thought there.